Hello. Right, very different video to the sorts of videos that I usually make. Most of the videos I usually make are to do with radio controlled cars, how to tune radio controlled cars, or my real Audi, which anyone that's already subscribed will know that I've done a lot of work to that car and that's quite a big part of my life. Anyway, as well as cars in general, radio controlled or real cars, I do have another hobby. You can probably see behind me on the wall, I have some air guns and some air rifles and the samurai sword in the middle. The samurai sword mainly just for show, although it is a real one and it is a live blade, it's not a display one. It's mainly there just for show because it looks nice on the wall. However, I have used it. I do go out and have a little bit of fun with it every now and again. A friend of mine has a very large field, so I'm lucky to be able to go there and use my air guns and air pistols and also the samurai sword as well. It's quite good fun. We can put some different types of vegetables or things like that you're not going to hurt yourself with, basically, and you can just have a bit of fun chopping them up. It's quite good fun. Bit childish, but it's good fun anyway. So I thought I'd do a quick video today just to run people through what air guns I've got and just to go over a couple of little facts about air guns if anyone might be interested in getting into the sport. So basically, an air gun in the UK, an air rifle or an air pistol, as long as you're over the age of 18, you have ID to prove that, then you are allowed to buy and own an air gun. Obviously, using it, you can't just go out into a random field, or say you live near a national park or something. You can't just turn up and start shooting crap with it. You have to have permission to be on the land that you're shooting on to be shooting on it. So like I just said, I have a friend with a big field. As long as I have permission to be on that land and shoot, absolutely fine, not a problem at all. If you have your own land, obviously, big garden or house, and you've turned your garage into a shooting range or anything like that, again, absolutely fine, as long as you're not shooting near anyone. So for example, if you've got a big garden or a fair-sized garden and you set up a target at the bottom of the garden, if there's nothing at the end of your garden, if it's just open land, fields and things, no public pathways or anything like that, then you haven't got a worry, because any stray pellets, they're not going to hit anyone, so you haven't got any worries about that. But if at the end of your garden is, for example, an alleyway or another row of houses or anywhere where anybody could be walking past, or pets or anything like that, then you will have to make sure that any stray pellets don't go past your property, because otherwise that's an offence, really, and for obvious reasons can be quite dangerous as well. So that's just the basics. There are a few other little nitty-gritties and stuff, but nothing too much. So that's the basics about owning an air rifle. Storing one and transporting one. If you're transporting one, you have to have a destination. So you can't just put your rifle or pistol in your car and go for a drive. I mean, why would you do that anyway? But you can't anyway. You have to have a point of destination. So if you are pulled over by the police or anything, you obviously have a firearm in your car, technically, because an air rifle or an air pistol, it is still a gun. So if they say, why have you got this in your car? And you turn around and say, I don't know, because I have. That's an offence. That's a firearms offence, so you can get in trouble for that, obviously. But if you say, I'm on the way to the shooting range, or I'm on my way around my friends, if they wanted to check that, which they might do, then obviously they could ask for details on what friend, what's his number, what's the name of the shooting range, blah blah blah. They could check that all out. Once they know that that's fine, you'll be on your way, not a problem. So you are allowed to travel with them. You are allowed to carry them as well, as long as it's in a case. The only exceptions is if it's a spring-loaded rifle or a CO2 rifle powered, you're not allowed to have it cocked. So if it's a spring-loaded one, it mustn't be cocked, ready to fire. If it's a CO2 one, it mustn't have any gas in it, again, ready to fire. Equally, neither one is allowed to have a pellet in the rifle. So, as long as it's not loaded, and it's not cocked or ready to fire, then you're fine. The pellets can be transported in the same bag as the rifle, just they can't all be together. So if you had your rifle with CO2 in it, that's an offence if you're travelling with it. If you had your rifle which was a spring loaded and it was cocked, that's an offence if you're travelling with it. As well as if you have a pellet in the chamber on either type, that is an offence. But as long as the pellets and the CO2 isn't in the gun, then you're good to go, so you can transport that gun around. I think that's pretty much it for transporting them as far as that goes. So most air rifle shops will tell you all of the nitty-gritties and the stuff that I've missed out, but I just wanted to give you the basics anyway. Right, I'll move on now to the actual guns quickly. I'll just quickly run you through what ones I've got and a really quick explanation of which one's which. And we'll try to do some more videos like this, and we'll do a couple of each gun being used as well. Right, so on the top here, this is a very old rifle. It's 1970s, and I bought this totally not working. It was pretty much scrap, really, when I bought this rifle. The stock on it had a really nasty varnish, and it just looked awful. But the rifle itself is a pretty good rifle for its age. It's not bad at all. It's a break barrel rifle, so the barrel snaps open like that. One single shot, pellet goes down in the barrel. To crack it, pull it all the way back, bring it up, and then you're ready to fire. Obviously there's no pellet in it at the moment, so I'll just fire it down onto the sofa to get rid of it. Okay. Probably a bit of smoke will come out the end now. There you go. So that was just a blank, obviously there was nothing in that. That was just the sound of the spring and the air coming out the end of the barrel. So, as I said, horrible nasty varnish on it. But it's a pretty good rifle for the age and for the money I paid for it, which really wasn't a lot at all. I think I paid like 25 quid. I mean, for an air rifle, that's about as cheap as you're going to get for anything that's half decent. Cheap scope. Again, I wanted to keep this nice and cheap, so it's just a cheap scope. I think the scope was about the same as I paid for the rifle. So again, it's a very cheap scope, but it does the job. It's all sighted in. It's very accurate. It's fairly powerful. And it works nicely. All I did was rub it down, give it a nice coat of varnish to freshen it up, and the wood that was underneath the original thick varnish is actually quite nice wood, so it came up quite nice. It's chambered in 2.2, so it's a 2.2 air rifle, and that's about it for this one. It's a single shot, break barrel, 2.2 air rifle, so yeah, quite a nice one for this one. Again, it's a spring-loaded one, so there's no gas or anything in this one. So pop this one back up. There we are. Go for the second rifle now. This is probably my better rifle, or it is my better rifle. I like this one quite a lot. This is an SMK Rabbit Destroyer. It's also chambered in 2.2. Very nice finish on the stock on this one. Hopefully you can see that, but it is quite a nice finish on this one. This is a single shot bolt action, so you lift the bolt up, pull it back, your pellet goes in here, you then slide forward, bolt down, safety off, and pull the trigger. This one is CO2 powered. Now obviously there's no CO2 in it at the moment, so no noise or anything. But yeah, this one is a CO2 powered. It takes two 12-gram CO2 capsules, and you will get around, I'd say around 100 to 120 shots out of those CO2 capsules. So it's a fair bit that you will get out of it before it starts to lose power and the pellet starts to dip. But great rifle, really nice. It works nice. It looks nice. There's a nice feel to it. It's light. It's not very heavy. So if you're freestand shooting, then it's nice and light to hold. Yeah, I definitely like this rifle. For the money that this rifle was, it's a very, very good buy. I bought this one brand new. The exact model, for anyone who's interested, it's an SMK Rabbit Destroyer XS501. I think I paid £150 for it. For an air rifle, a 2.2 air rifle, full power, that is a bloody good price. So, yeah, and I have used it a lot, and it's a great rifle. Runs really well. Once you've got the scope sighted in and everything, it's really, really good. Really nice rifle. Zero kick at all. Being a CO2 as well, there's absolutely no kick at all. But it's very powerful. You'll kill rabbits, rats, pigeons, anything like that at a fair old distance. It's also obviously good for target shooting, if that's what you want to do with it. The scope, it's a better scope I've got on this one, obviously. It's much better zoom on it. It's just a better scope all in all, really. Yeah, I think that's probably about it for this rifle. The CO2 goes in the end here, so you would unscrew that cap. You then slide one CO2 capsule in with the pierced part of it facing downwards, and then the other one goes in end to end, so the pierced part would be facing upwards. You then screw the cap back on, that pierces the top one, you pull the bolt back, pull the bolt forward, pull the trigger, that pierces the second one, and then you've got the chamber in the gun is full of CO2 and you're ready to go. But yeah, great gun, really nice. Highly recommend this for anyone who's thinking about getting into rifle shooting or 2.2s or anything like that, because for the money, it's a really good gun, and I don't think you'd find much better for the money. So, that's the rifles. The pistols, we've got a Dan Wesson in the middle. It's a revolver. Again, CO2. All of these pistols are CO2. This one, it was a good gun, but unfortunately the seals have gone on the CO2 now, and the price that it would cost to replace the seals on this gun is not worth doing, because the gun itself is only worth probably £40 or £50 as it is. Brand new, it was around about £180, but that was a very long time ago. But now it's quite old, it's quite worn out, it's well used, so it's not worth me repairing. So this one is purely for display. It does, you know, effectively work, but it leaks gas, so it's not worth using. So I won't show you that one too much, because as I say, it doesn't really work anyway. But for anyone who's interested, it's a Dan Wesson revolver. The one on the left, this is probably my favourite of pistols that I have. So this is it's a Colt 1911, but it's a replica basically made by Remington, but it is based on the Colt 1911. Everything about it's the same. The safety exactly the same as a real Colt 1911. It works in exactly the same way. The great thing about this is that it's not only a replica, but it's such a good replica that everything about it is just like the real gun. It works in exactly the same way. It's field strippable, just like the real gun. The magazine drops out the bottom, exactly just like the real gun. The hole through the middle obviously is where the CO2 goes, and the BBs, because this one is a steel BB firing, the BBs go in here. It holds around 15 to 18 BBs at any one time, which is quite a lot. It's also a full blowback, so what that means is when you pull the trigger, just like the real gun, the slide kicks back and then goes forward, and each time it kicks back, it pulls the hammer back so you're ready to fire again. So obviously it doesn't kick as much as the real gun would, but it does give you that extra bit of realism feel to it. You can fire this pretty quick as well. I mean, you can fire it as quick as you can pull the trigger, really. And yeah, it's a great gun. About £150 from new, these are. Again, it's a really good replica, really nice weight. It's full metal. Everything on it is in exactly the right place, like the real 1911 would be. The only difference on my one is these wooden handles. Well, not handles, sorry, grips. These wooden grips on my one. The standard edition grips on this gun are black plastic because this is the 1911 tactical version. There are many different versions of CO2 powered 1911s, but this is definitely one of the best ones, especially money value wise. So the grips that came on it, nothing wrong with them, I just didn't really like them. I've always been a bit of a sucker for wood grips, so I got myself these nice wood grips. They're genuine wood, and they're made by a guy who's got his little company on eBay, and I think it was called DM Grips, the name of his company, and they were incredibly cheap, including postage. They were £13. You can't go wrong for that. £13 for custom made wood grips. They fit perfectly and they look great. So anyone who has a Colt 1911, doesn't have to be a Remington, but if you have a Colt 1911, then these grips should fit your gun. He also does lots of different types as well. He doesn't just do this style. I think he has rosewood, I think he has walnut, maybe oak, I'm not sure, but these ones were Zebrano. But yeah, so that's the Colt 1911. So like I said about the slide, pull the slide back. It will go forward normally once the magazine is loaded, but obviously it's empty at the moment, so the slide would stay back. And then you make the slide go forward again by dropping down that, and away you go. But yeah, great gun. About £150 for that. Really, really nice. Pop that one back up. Next one, this is an Umarex. This is an Umarex CPS. Doesn't come with a silencer. This is an extra piece that you need to buy to attach a silencer to this, but it will unscrew and you can have either the silencer on it or you can have the silencer off, as you just saw. Then I can unscrew it. So that's entirely up to you what you want. This one is CO2 again, but it's lead pellet firing. So put your magazine in here, you slide this back, no need to cock it, you just take the safety off and away you go, basically. It's a semi-automatic like most of these pistols are. Once you've loaded a round and you're ready to go, you just keep pulling the trigger until you're out, basically. Magazine on this one is just for the CO2 because, as I just said, the magazine for the pellets go in there. So this is just for the CO2, the magazine. However, it is still in the bottom, so it's still in the correct place. Good little gun. It's very, very light. For someone who wants a light gun, doesn't want anything too heavy, then this is probably a good choice, or it's one of many good choices. Umarex, very, very good make, probably one of the biggest in air pistols. The CPS, this gun's been around for a very long time. They've made loads of different versions of it. I think they do a white one, possibly a green camo type one. Not bad price. I think these average around 150 to 180 pounds. It is plastic though, that's the only downside to this gun. It's like a polymer plastic. I think it's mainly for lightness really, that's why they made it like that. But you know, it's okay. It's not a bad little gun. This one, I bought this one mainly for my fiance because she likes to have a shoot as well, but she doesn't like anything too heavy. So that's the Umarex CPS. Not a bad gun. Pop that one back up there as well, if I can get it right. There we go. Right, and lastly, this is my latest purchase. I've had many different types of this. This is basically a Beretta 92F or a 92FS, but it's the latest model, so it's not called a 92F or FS anymore. It's called an M9. So this is the Beretta M9A3. It's a brand new model, just come out. It's full metal again, CO2 again. It's also metal BB again. Holds around the same as the Colt 1911. It works in exactly the same way as the Colt 1911. The magazine is in the same place as the Colt 1911. The CO2 goes in the bottom of the magazine. There's no hole through the middle. The pellets still go in the front. Your magazine then obviously slides back in the bottom. Your safety, everything on this gun is exactly the same as the real Beretta M9A3. So again, it's a full field strippable, everything works in the same way. It's got blowback again, so it gives you that nice bit of kick. You pull the slide back, obviously it would go forward as I said before, and then away you go. So in terms of realism, this again is right up there. On the front of this you have like a little cap that unscrews on here, and that's so that you can fit a silencer to the end of it if you want to. But yeah, I mean, it's got a little slight rail on the bottom on this one as well. I'm not sure if you can see that there, little rail, so you can add a laser sight or an accessory of some sort on the end. But I've only had this one for maybe 3 weeks now. It's one of the most expensive ones that I have at the moment. It was around £220, but for realism and for the way it works, and the trigger especially is such a nice trigger on this one. It feels lovely to use. When you pull it, it's so precise and nice to use. Not too heavy, not too soft. It's really nice. I definitely would recommend looking into this one. As I said, the price is a lot more. The Colt 1911, there's so many different versions out there of Colt 1911 that are all blowback, and most of them you won't pay more than about £200 for the top end one. But this is £220 as it is. But it is a nice gun, so I would definitely recommend this to people. And it's also made by Beretta as well. It's a genuine Beretta branded pistol. So yeah, really nice. Hopefully you can see that okay there. But yeah, it's a really nice gun. Okay, and that is about it for my collection. Obviously all of these on the wall, they're all totally safe mode. There's no gas in them. The only one that could fire is the top one there, but obviously it's decocked now because I fired that one shot. So they're all totally safe. Nothing could possibly go off. There's no pellets in any of them. If you want to store any kind of pistol like that, then obviously you need to make sure that it's always safe. Gun safety, even with a lead pellet firing gun or metal BB firing gun, anything like that, gun safety is still incredibly important, and you should always treat it like a real firearm, because at the end of the day, they are still designed to kill. Albeit not humans, but they are designed to kill. And I'm pretty confident that if you was to be hit in the wrong place, especially by this one or the one at the top, that you probably could end up seriously hurt or even die. So obviously it goes without saying to be incredibly careful with them. But there we are. That's just a quick introduction to my collection and a little bit of information for anyone who might be interested. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. It's very different to normal, but yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers.